Welcome to Exploring Seth's The Nature of Personal Reality with us.
Hello. And yeah, this deep dive really cuts right to the core of, well, personal creation and responsibility, doesn't it? We're focusing squarely on Chapter 6 today.
Right, specifically that section called Your Body of Belief and Its Structure of Power.
Exactly. And the background to this chapter is quite something.
Yeah, I found that fascinating. Apparently, this material came through when the hosts, Jane Roberts and Robert Butts, were getting, constant requests for help, really serious ones, people in deep crisis.
That's right. Acute psychological, physical issues. But instead of tackling them one by one, they felt, or rather the source, Seth decided, that transmitting this whole book would actually serve the greater good.
Believing the universal ideas in it would help more people in the long run.
Precisely. So our mission today really is to unpack this central idea that your beliefs, they aren't just abstract thoughts. They literally create a physical and psychological structure, a belief body.
And we need to look at what happens when those beliefs clash, when they're unexamined. Because the results can be, well, pretty dramatic. We've got a really interesting case study to look at later, too.
Absolutely. It demonstrates the consequences vividly.
Okay, so let's start with that main concept, the belief body. The source says you perceive, you actually live through this framework. It's like the ultimate filter.
It is. It determines whether your perceptions get amplified or, severely limited. You can literally dial your sensory functions up or down.
Which forces us to think beyond metaphor. I mean, the example given about aging and hearing loss, that's pretty specific.
It really is, and quite counterintuitive for many. If you deeply believe your hearing has to decline after a certain age, well, the body basically goes along with it.
Wait, hang on. So you're saying the physical decline doesn't trigger the belief, but the belief comes first and causes the physical decline?
That's the core insight here, yes. The text calls the decline a functional habit. It suggests you unconsciously stop using the subtle inner controls needed for good hearing. You suppress them.
Because you don't believe you should have good hearing anymore.
Exactly. And the physical deterioration follows that expectation.
Yeah.
It doesn't lead it. You've essentially forgotten how to use your full hearing capacity because you bought into the belief it had to fade.
Wow. That's a powerful way to think about it. And it makes sense that one belief wouldn't exist in isolation, right?
Definitely not. They link up. So if you believe your hearing's going, that might easily connect to a broader, more negative network. Things like, oh, old people are useless, or I'm being left behind.
Creates a whole negative cascade.
It can. But conversely, if you hold positive beliefs like wisdom grows with age, or inner peace deepens, or maybe a sharp mind assesses the world better, then the body tends to stay healthier, matching those higher expectations.
Okay, so let's really try and nail down the underlying mechanism here. The source makes this huge claim about what thoughts are, not just brain chemistry, not just fluff.
No, not at all. They're defined as electromagnetic reality.
Electromagnetic reality. That
Yeah,
sounds pretty physical.
it is. This is fundamental to the whole book. Thoughts are seen as energetic structures. And this electromagnetic reality, it directly influences your body. Your nervous system automatically converts these thought structures into, well,
Into what?
into blood, flesh, bone, into your actual lived experience. A strong idea generates an energetic pattern the body has to respond to.
Okay, if thoughts are literally shaping our physical reality moment by moment,
Right.
then the role of the conscious mind becomes crucial.
Absolutely vital.
Hmm.
Its intended job is to look at material reality, evaluate it, and then consciously set a course, make a decision.
And then the inner self, the deeper part of us.
Right. The inner self concentrates all available energy and resources to achieve whatever the conscious mind has decided it wants. It follows the lead.
Which explains why believing you're weak is so instantly self-defeating. You're literally directing your inner powerhouse to, well, to fail.
Precisely. And it also explains the danger of just blindly accepting every belief that comes your way, good or bad. If you do that, you're just bombarding yourself with contradictory signals.
Leading to those internal power blocks the text talks about. Your inner energy doesn't know where to go because it's getting mixed messages constantly. Muddy direction.
And this brings up a really important point for anyone listening. It's about action versus reaction.
Ah, right. The text says when you just curse a situation you hate.
You're just reacting, blindly reacting to things that seem to be happening to you from the outside. You feel powerless.
So true action, autonomous action, requires something different. What was it? Combining belief.
Belief, emotion, and imagination. You have to proactively use these three to create the outcome you want in your mind first. It's a conscious, creative act before it shows up physically.
Okay, it's about intentionally directing that energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, if you just let sharply opposed beliefs rattle around inside you for a long time without trying to resolve them,
Then the clash of those electromagnetic realities, those thought forms, creates serious power blocks.
very severe ones. And if that goes on long enough, it can lead to what the text calls polarization, where these unexamined, often quite frightening ideas seem to take on a life of their own.
And they start dominating certain areas of your life, your activity.
Precisely.
Is this where the case study comes in? The text mentions a visitor, Augustus, as a classic case of this kind of polarization leading to something like a secondary personality.
Yes, Augustus is presented as a textbook example of what happens when these internal conflicts are just denied and allowed to fester. He basically held two completely contradictory belief systems about himself.
What were they?
Well, Augustus I, his main personality, was convinced he was utterly powerless, deeply unloved. He felt like he was standing alone over this abyss of evil, certain he'd never achieve anything worthwhile.
Just total despair and weakness?
Pretty much. But obviously the self can't really sustain total belief in weakness. So at the same time, he had this incredibly powerful compensatory belief system running.
The opposite.
Completely. He believed he was actually omnipotent, all-powerful, capable of unleashing terrible vengeance on anyone who misunderstood him. He thought he could heal the world or punish it on a whim.
Wow. So powerlessness versus omnipotence running side by side. What did that do to him?
Physically. Before the split really solidified, his body was in constant chaos. Imagine the muscular system, the hormonal system, getting these wildly conflicting commands second by second.
Must have been incredibly stressful.
The text mentions things like unstable body temperature, severe internal stress. The body couldn't cope with the inconsistency.
So the consciousness, it did something drastic.
In a bizarre act of self-preservation, yeah, it basically cleaved itself to protect the physical body from literally tearing itself apart with contradictory signals. That strong, omnipotent, but also kind of alien belief system got personalized.
It became Augustus II.
Exactly. It was split off into this secondary persona.
And what was Augustus II like?
Well, when Augustus II was in charge, the body suddenly got clear, coherent signals. Signals power, invincibility. Augustus II was described as fully conscious, but he saw reality through only that single potent belief system.
The omnipotent one.
Right. He even claimed he was an alien from another galaxy, sent here to protect the weak Augustus I and act on his behalf.
This really drives home the belief body idea, doesn't it? The physical changes must have been significant.
Staggering, according to the text. When Augustus II took over, the body's actual chemistry changed, different hormonal states. The source explicitly says the body became much stronger, much more capable.
Stronger? How so?
Well, Augustus II, believing his body was nigh invincible, could apparently do things Augustus I couldn't dream of. That detail about him jumping from a second-story window without getting hurt.
Yeah.
That's presented as direct proof. The belief was instantly translated into physical capability. Physics followed belief.
And behaviorally. How did A2 act?
He was kind of the stereotypical dark half. Very assertive, apparently engaged in promiscuity, lied constantly, showed real contempt for other people.
So he acted out all the things Augustus I repressed or couldn't handle.
Exactly. It relieved Augustus I of responsibility for his own anger, his own unacceptable desires. A2 became the perfect scapegoat.
But did it help Augustus I feel better?
Ironically, no. Seeing A2 being so competent and powerful apparently just made Augustus I feel even more worthless and pathetic by comparison.
Oh, right. That makes sense. So what happened? Did A2 just stay?
Well, eventually A2 was sort of suppressed, partly because his actions, the lying and the general disruptiveness became too much for his wife and his environment. His wife especially resisted this friend.
Okay, so the extreme split dissolved. Did that fix the problem?
Not quite. What happened then, according to the source, was that the two opposing belief systems, the powerlessness and the omnipotence, merged back into his main personality. But instead of integrating, they started operating simultaneously.
Simultaneously? How does that even work?
By rapidly alternating. The text describes him swinging wildly, sometimes within minutes. One moment, intense hostility, threatening anyone who crossed him.
Like Augustus II leaking through.
Right. And the next moment, desperate pleading cries for help, just like the original Augustus I. The body was back under immense pressure from this constant internal tug of war.
So he was left stuck, basically, dealing with these traits from A2, the lying, the aggression that had sort of seeped into his main personality.
while still fundamentally clinging to that core belief in his own powerlessness and worthlessness. A really difficult place to be.
Yeah, no kidding. So how would you even begin to help someone like that? This is where the source critiques standard approaches, right?
It does, quite sharply. It
Yeah.
looks at things like psychoanalysis, chemical treatments, even ideas like possession.
But wait, isn't diagnosing something like schizophrenia what modern psychiatry does? Why does the source say just labeling it is meaningless here?
Because, the argument goes, the label schizophrenia just describes the symptom, the split personality. It doesn't address the root cause, which is seen as the unresolved conflicting beliefs, particularly that core belief in personal worthlessness.
So you can call it schizophrenia, but if the underlying belief isn't changed.
The internal generator of the conflict is still running. The label doesn't fix the belief engine.
And what about trying to manage it with medication, chemical changes?
The source views those as artificial and temporary fixes at best. It suggests the body, still driven by the underlying conflict, might just find other ways to act it out, even potentially leading to hidden self-destructive tendencies like unconsciously attacking vital organs.
That's quite a dark possibility. What about framing it as possession, like Augustus too is some external evil spirit?
That's seen as particularly dangerous because framing it that way reinforces the idea that part of the self is alien and uncontrollable. It can weaken the core ego structure even further and increase the fear of future invasions.
Because you're constantly denying a part of yourself exists.
Exactly. You're refusing to own and integrate that powerful, albeit perhaps unacceptable, part of your own psyche.
It sounds pretty bleak. Is there any hope offered?
Oh, absolutely. The text emphasizes innate human resilience. It's vast. It even notes that sometimes self-healing can happen through what it calls a planned, critical, uniting traumatic experience.
Planned, you mean subconsciously?
Yes, like a severe accident that the personality somehow organizes subconsciously. The shock forces an immediate mobilization of all resources, forcing a unification just for survival.
A drastic measure, but sometimes effective, it seems.
But ultimately, the path out, whether it's for Augustus or for any of us dealing with internal conflict, is consistently pointed back to the same place,
Which is?
the conscious mind. The core issue is always an undigested, unexamined belief. The power to heal lies in consciously identifying and actively changing the fundamental beliefs you accept about yourself and the nature of reality.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now? I think the profound takeaway is just how powerful your self-belief is. It doesn't just shape your thoughts, it literally shapes your physical body, what it is, what it can do.
Right. And ignoring internal conflict, pretending it isn't there, doesn't make it vanish. It just
Yeah.
forces it to manifest indirectly, maybe as a dramatic split like Augustus, or maybe as persistent, unexplained physical issues.
It finds a way out.
It always does. And
Yeah.
interestingly, just as a little side note showing how unpredictable this stuff is, right when this chapter was being dictated,
Yeah.
there was apparently this spontaneous, totally unexpected announcement of a future book meant for Robert Butts called Through My Eyes. Just popped up.
Wow. Even amidst discussing such serious conflict, creation is still bubbling up.
Exactly. It shows reality creation is always happening, often in layers we don't expect.
That's a great reminder. So if we loop back to Augustus and that idea of invasion, the source kind of reframes it, doesn't it?
It does. It suggests that what feels like an invasion or a split is often just the sudden, forceful emergence of beliefs that were always there, highly conscious, but hidden because they were unacceptable.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe a challenge for everyone listening.
Yeah, I think the challenge is to look inwards honestly and ask yourself, what strong conflicting beliefs might you be hiding, tucked away in the corners of your mind, maybe unacknowledged? Beliefs that are nevertheless attracting energy, shaping your reality, maybe manifesting in ways you don't feel you control.
Something to definitely mull over.